Hello YouTube, we're on the Real Programming channel. I'm its host, my name is Andrei. I welcome, greet you. And this is our 6th lesson. It's about HTML and JavaScript. We will talk about Chapter 2 Introduction JavaScript and the DOM, a little code. Okay. JavaScript is going to take new places. You already know all about HTML markup, otherwise known as structure. And you know all about CSS-free style, otherwise known as presentation. But what you been missing is JavaScript, otherwise known as behavior. If all you know about structure and presentation, sure, you can create some great looking pages, but they're still just pages. When you add behavior with JavaScript, you can create an interactive experience, or even better, you can create full-blown web applications. Get ready to add the most interesting and versatile skill in your web toolkit, JavaScript and programming. And if you need more information, the most lucrative. The way JavaScript works. Our goal is to write JavaScript code that runs in the browsers when your web page is located. The code may respond to user actions, update or change the page, communicate with web services, and in general make your page feel more like an application than a document. Let's look at how all that works. Right, and to create your HTML, it's the first step, and markup and your JavaScript code and put them in files, say index.html and index.javascript, or they both can go in the HTML file. Remember, please don't forget, you will find all the code and materials of these lessons under this video in the description link to Google Drive. And 2 browsers. Loading. The browsers retrieves and loads your page, parsing its contents from top to bottom. It encounters JavaScript. The browser parses the code and checks it for correctness and then executes the code. The browser also builds an internal model of the HTML page called the DOM. 3. Running. JavaScript continues executing using the DOM to examine the page, change it, receive events from it, to or ask our browser to retrieve other data from the web server. What can you do with JavaScript? Once you got a page with a script element or a reference to a separate JavaScript file, you are all ready to start coding. JavaScript is a full-fledged programming language, and you can do pretty much anything with it you can with other languages, and even more because we are programming inside a web page. You can tell JavaScript too. First, make a statement. Create variables and the 6 values and this thing together calculate things. Use built-in functionality from a JavaScript library. 2. Do things more than once or twice. Perform statements over and over as many times as you need to. And 3. Make decisions. Write code that is conditional depending on the state of your app. Declaring a variable. Variables hold things. With JavaScript, they can hold lots of different things. Let's declare a few variables that hold things. Integer numeric values, or floating point numeric values, or strings of characters. We call those strings for short, or a boolean value, which is true or false. 3 steps of creating variables. First, the first step is to declare your variable, in this case scopes. Notice that JavaScript, unlike some languages, doesn't need a type for the variable. It just creates a generic container that can hold lots of things. Variables are containers for holding values. JavaScript variables don't have strict types, so any variables can hold a number, string or boolean. I'm a variable or ready to hold something. Step 2. Next, we need a value to put in the variable. We can specify a value in a few ways. Your value can be a literal value like a number or a string, or the value can be the result of an expression, or use one JavaScript internal library functions like a random number generator to create a value. More on this and your own functions later. And step 3, finally, we have variable and we have value, a literal value like 10, or the result of evaluating, and an expression like a total scoops / people, and all we need to do is assign to value to the variable. I am no longer indefinite. I now have a value of my very own. Of course, once you have a variable created, you can change its value at any time, or even change it to a value that has a different type. Here are some examples. We can reset scoops to another integer value, or even use scoops itself in any expression that change its value. In this case, scoops will be 15. Or we can change the value and type of scoops, in this case, to a string. Careful! This could cause big issues in your code if you're expecting scoops to be a number. More on this in a bit. Or this even a value. For last, scoops is equal null. A value in JavaScript, that means no value. It's called null. We'll see how this is used later. Syntax fun. Each statement ends in a semicolon. A single line command begins with 2 forward slashes. Comments are just notes to you or other developers about the code. They aren't evaluated. White space doesn't matter almost everywhere. Surround strings of characters with double quotes. Variables are declared using var and a name. No types are required, unlike some other languages. Don't use quotes around the Boolean values true and false. Variables don't have to be given a value when they are declared. Wait. And there are no dumb questions. What is the value of my variable when I just write var winner? After this statement is executed, the variable winner will be assigned the value undefinite, which is another JavaScript value and type. We'll see where and how to use this later in this book and this lesson. I have seen the other programming languages where variables are declared with a type, like int, x or string y. Does JavaScript not have types? JavaScript does have types, but unlike languages you might have used before, JavaScript has dynamic typing, which means that you don't have to specify a type, and the JavaScript interpreter will figure out what type to use as your code is running. How to name your variables? You might be wondering how you pick names of your variables. If you use to naming it in your HTML elements, you'll find variables very similar. There are only a few rules for creating names. Serious coding. Numbers, strings and booleans are all known as primitive types in JavaScript. There is one other thing. You can store in a variable an object. We'll be talking about objects soon enough, but for now you can think of an object as a collection of things, whereas a primitive is just one thing that can't be broken up into anything else. Rule number 1. Start your variables with a letter, an underscore or a dollar sign. You want to get off a good start with naming your variables not just by making them meaningful but also by using a letter, small or uppercase, an underscore character or a dollar sign. Here are some examples. Do this. Begins with number not good. Begin with a symbol %, and this there aren't allowed, not this. And rule number 2, then you can use any number of letters, numeric digits, underscore or dollar sign. Keep using letters, dollar sign, underscore to create your variable's name. After the first character, you can also throw a number if you like. Got the space not allowed, got minus or plus signals not allowed, and will seriously confuse JavaScript, not this. Do this. And number 3. Make sure you avoid of JavaScript reserved words. JavaScript contains a number of words that are reserved, such as if, else, while, and for a name, just a few, and JavaScript doesn't take too kindly to you trying to use these reserved words for your variables names. Here is a list of JavaScript reserved words. Don't forget this, remember this. Now you don't need to memorize them, and you'll develop a sense of what they are as you learn JavaScript. But if you were perplexed by JavaScript complaining about how you declared your variables, think, is that a reserved word I'm trying to use? Avoid this as variable names. Okay, there are no dumb questions, and getting expressive, we will talk about this in the next lesson. And this is our 6th lesson about JavaScript HTML is over. Thanks for watching, subscribe to my channel, please put likes and share with friends, comment, don't forget. And meditate, do exercise, drink more water for the brain. Thank you, bye!